Hello and one and all, and welcome back to another review on Joseph Reviews. And guys, we are still continuing the Bond film series. We have 5 more movies to review before No Time to Die. On today's review, we shall be reviewing the final Pierce Brosnan Bond film, and we are entering the 21st century of Bond, and that is Die Another Day, which is directed by Lee Tamahori, and of course stars Pierce Brosnan as his 4th outing in the Bond film series and his last time in the series. This is the 40th anniversary of the Bond film series. It's the 20th film in the series. And of course, guys, like my other reviews in this series, this is going to contain spoilers, so you guys have been warned. Let's talk about Die Another Day. Okay, so of course you open up with the usual gun barrel sequence, the final gun barrel sequence with Pierce Brosnan and haha, gotcha. There's a bullet in the gun barrel sequence. Yes. If you have very good contact skills, then you would have noticed the bullets go through the gun barrel sequence. And I thought, okay. This is the only gun barrel sequence in the series to feature a bullet. And if you guys have played any of the Bond games like Agent Under Fire, Nightfire, and Everything or Nothing, well, Nightfire and Everything or Nothing had Pierce Brosnan in, well, only for the likeness in Nightfire, and Everything or Nothing, his voice and likeness completely. Because Nightfire came out in 2002 and Everything and Nothing came out 2004, those 2 video games. I thought they were going to show bullets, but no, they don't. So Die Another Day is the only Bond film to feature a bullet in the gun barrel sequence. But anyways, let's get that out of the way. Let's get on to the film. So we're in North Korea, and you see some nice surfing going on. But yes, we will get into more surfing very soon. And eventually it's Bond in the wetsuit, and that's a bit of a callback since this is the 40th anniversary to the series. It's a callback to Goldfinger, where Bond has the pigeon on his head and takes the wetsuit off and comes in his white tuxedo. But this time Bond is not wearing a white tuxedo. You see all these people from North Korea, you know, and then you got some good action going on. I really like the action going on. It's great. You know the action going on the tanks and everything. It's not as good as the tank scene in GoldenEye, and it's not as good as the pre-title sequence as it is in The World Is Not Enough, because The World Is Not Enough is still the longest pre-title sequence in the series, which is pretty awesome. But this title sequence is still really good. I mean, and then Bond eventually gets captured. He gets ended up in prison, and they start throwing him in cold water, and then you have the titles going on. And so far, this is the first Bond film to have the title sequence to feature the story actually continuing, where you see him, Bond, becoming a prisoner. He's getting his head in the cold water. His hair is long and has a beard, and so now he becomes Jeez Louise, the man who got crucified many years ago. Yeah, anyways. But the only bad thing about the title sequence is you have the crap song, To Die Another Day. Just never liked that song. It just wasn't, it sounds so ridiculous and weird. To die another day. Like, it sounds like a stripper singing that. To die another day. It sounds like a Bond thing that would play for Cool FM. If you guys are familiar with Cool FM, you know what I'm talking about. But, yeah. But yeah, I've never heard a Bond film be played by Cool FM. But hey, anyways. Then after that, it's 18 months later, you know, Bond has the long hair and the big beard. Eventually, the North Koreans get him out of prison, and eventually he gets back on land. You know, he's in Hong Kong, and you know, eventually he does cut off his hair and shaves, and eventually he meets M, still played by Judi Dench. Yeah, Judi Dench plays M in all of the Brosnan Bond films, and you know, we also see the other MI6 characters like Samantha Bond, played by Miss Moneypenny. And we're also introduced to our main Bond girl in the series, Halle Berry, who plays Jinx. Yeah. And since this is the 40th anniversary, it's a callback to, well, the first Bond film, you know, Honey Rider, where he comes out in the bikini. Well, there we go, in the bikini. You know, you see Jinx come out of the water in bikini, and you know, and later she dies off, which is technically CGI. But yeah. Oh yeah, one thing, the only problem I have with the opening pre-title sequence is the green screen isn't very good. You know, that's really the only problem. But yeah, the green screen isn't very good looking. But yeah, I forgot to mention that. But other than that, the opening pre-title sequence is still fun. And we are also introduced to our main villains, you know, Zoe, Z-A-O, and Greaves, played by Tony Stevens. And Bond eventually meets up with him and the other Bond girl in the series, Rosamund Pike, who has been in other movies such as Jack Reacher and David Fincher's Gone Girl. And eventually you see Bond and Greaves have their sword fight. You know, it's probably the best part of the film, easily. You know, their fight seems great, you know. And then you see John Cleese return as the Q, who replaced Desmond, who unfortunately passed away in a car accident after The World Is Not Enough. Well, John Cleese now becomes the Q, and I really like him as the Q character. He's easily one of the best actors in here. And then, of course, he introduces the Aston Martin Vanquish. Now comes the actual film, guys, because most people consider this Bond film to be the worst in the series. They think it's atrocious. They think, oh, it's up there with Moonraker, A View to a Kill, Quantum of Solace. And this is considered the worst. Heck, even The World Is Not Enough and Tomorrow Never Dies from some people. And I kind of don't mind those movies. I mean, sure they're not good movies, but they can be fun in some places. But yeah. Oh boy, this movie has problems once they go to Iceland and the Ice Palace, which is sort of the villain lair in the film by Greaves, played by Toby Stevens. Yeah. You know, eventually you got some action going on. You know, you kind of have a silly moment where Jinx is captured and surrounded by all these lasers. You know, it's a pretty stupid scene. And of course, guys, you get probably the most dumb moment in the whole Bond film series. You know, Bond escapes from the ice building. You know, there's this laser that goes down. And of course, you get this little dumb moment, da 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 da, with Bond surfing with parachutes, and it's CGI all over the place. I mean, like the opening, it looked fine, but here it looks like shit computer work. I mean, like the CGI just looks, it's horrendous, and just who would put Bond like that? Like, that is like the worst moment in any Bond film you could ask for, as far as stunt work goes, and moments in the series. Like, that is so bad. That is very, very bad. And eventually you get, which is probably the best part about the second half of the film, is that Bond is in the Vanquish, even though it's a pretty dumb car, that it can come visible. You chase against Zoe in the green car, who's in the green car, Zoe, and Bond's in the Aston Martin Vanquish. You know, it's a car chase, you know, good. We've now got a Bond villain in a car chase, in a car driving. You know, and like you do in Spectre as well later on, and you know, and eventually will lead on to Zoe's death. And then this is where the one-liners get retarded, because some of the one-liners are very bad in Die Another Day. And you know, eventually we're on the plane. You know, Toby Stevens becomes RoboCop, an electrical RoboCop, where he can electrocute people. So technically this is kind of like the Emperor and RoboCop combined in one character. And eventually you get Rosamund Pike and Jinx have their sword fight and everything, and you know, you get a pretty laughable climax of the film where Bond is fighting Greaves. Oh yes, and also kills off his father. Okay, but then you of course get the fight scenes, and you get some ridiculous one-liners like "Time to face destiny," "Time to face gravity," and eventually Greaves is laid on to his death, and you know, Bond and Jinx go on this helicopter and they escape. Again, CGI's all over the place. And eventually you see the MI6 characters. Then after that, you know, Bond and Jinx end up in a certain place in the middle of nowhere. With diamonds, yes, a reference, diamonds are forever. And that's the bloody movie finished. Yeah. Now, look, Die Another Day is not all bad. I mean, because I don't think any of these movies in the series are considered as the worst movies ever made. They're not really. Yes, they have some bad moments here and there, especially with Die Another Day. But here are the good things. The first half of the film is enjoyable enough to watch. You know, you got the Koreans going on, you have the sword fight going on. But once they go to Iceland and the car's introduced, the dumb car, it gets downhill from there. And the thing that I hate about the most with Die Another Day is the crap CGI that happens, especially with the surfing and everything, which is just so bad. And, you know, the visual effects are awful. Yeah, GoldenEye was his best. Bond, the best film he was in. World Is Not Enough was his best performance. And this is probably his cheesiest performance. You know, he gives one-liners. You know, you live to die another day. Time to face gravity. Yes. So overall, guys, Die Another Day. Yeah, it's not that good. You know, it's not all bad. I don't consider this to be horrible or anything. It has good elements, but that second half most certainly does go downhill from there. I mean, this movie is pretty bad. I mean, you know, it's definitely not the worst action film ever made. I mean, it's not as bad like A Good Day to Die Hard, per se, or Independence Day Resurgence. I mean, those movies are way worse in my opinion. But this movie has what it's going in the first half of the film. You know, you got the action going on and the sword fight. You know, but this film overall is just a mess. And on my rating scale, I am going to give Die Another Day a C-. This can be enjoyable at times, but I would give this a C-. Is it the worst film of this series? It could be, but it's not a horrible one either. But alrighty guys, that was my review on Die Another Day. Such a stupid song. Anyways, comment down below, let me know what your thoughts on Die Another Day. Where do you rank it with the Pierce Brosnan Bond films? And guys, let me know below what is your least favourite Bond film in the entire series. Let me know below in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And that's the Brosnan films finished. And oh yeah, our next Bond is Daniel Craig. We're on to the Craig area now. I'm so looking forward to talking about Daniel Craig because he is my favourite Bond personally. And stay tuned for my review on Casino Royale. So guys, comment, like, subscribe. Social media links will be in the description below. Share this video, notify the bell before you leave. And as always folks, until my next video, I shall see you guys then, and peace. Gun barrel bullets.